Leah Harmon had always been the quiet architect behind empires. For 3 years, she had poured her mind, sharp, relentless, and unmatched, into building Harrove Capital from a mid-tier investment firm into a billion-dollar juggernaut. She drafted the ironclad contracts that locked in impossible deals, designed the proprietary algorithmic framework that predicted market shifts with eerie precision, and quietly corrected the sloppy oversights of her husband, Mikhail Harrove, the charismatic face of the company who basked in the spotlight while she worked in shadows. Mikhail was handsome in that polished, boardroom way, tall, golden-skinned, always in tailored Tom Ford, with a smile that convinced investors he was a genius. Leah had met him during her final year at MIT, where she was finishing her dual doctorate in applied mathematics and contract law. He had been charming, ambitious, and utterly convinced that he deserved everything. She had believed in his vision, or perhaps in the version of herself she saw reflected in his eyes. Powerful, desired, indispensable. They married in a private ceremony on a cliffside in Santorini. She wore ivory silk, he wore custom Armani. The vows were beautiful, but the real promise was unspoken. She would build his world, and he would give her the life she had never had growing up in a cramped apartment in Atlanta. The daughter of a single mother who cleaned houses for rich families just like the one Mikhail would one day own. For 3 years, she kept that promise. She worked 18-hour days while he attended galas, flirted with models, and posted carefully curated photos of their perfect life on Instagram. She never complained. She loved him, or at least the idea of what they could be. But love, she would later realize, should never require silence. The affair began quietly. A junior analyst named Sophia, blonde, 26, with a laugh like wind chimes. Mikhail thought he was discreet. He wasn't. Leah noticed the late-night strategy sessions, the sudden interest in weekend retreats, the way his phone screen tilted away from her when notifications lit up. She said nothing. Not because she was weak, but because she was calculating. She always calculated. 2 days before everything changed, she overheard him in the study, laughing with his inner circle over aged scotch. "She's not going anywhere," Mikhail said, voice thick with arrogance. "Leah built this from nothing. Every major contract has her fingerprints. Without her, the algorithms crash, the addendums lapse, the investors bolt. She knows it. She'll stay quiet, keep the machine running. She's loyal like that." The words landed like a slap, but Leah didn't flinch. She stood in the hallway, barefoot on cold marble, listening as they toasted to her invisible labor. Something inside her shifted, not rage but clarity, crystal sharp, irrevocable. That night, while Mikhail slept beside Sophia in their king-sized bed, Leah had moved to the guest suite months earlier, claiming better focus for late-night coding. She worked in silence. She backed up every file she had ever touched, transferred ownership of the core intellectual property to a blind trust she had created 2 years earlier under a different name, and drafted the cleanest divorce petition imaginable. No alimony demands. No custody battles. They had no children. Just a simple dissolution and the return of what was always hers. Her mind, her work, her future. At 3:17 a.m., she placed the signed papers and her platinum wedding band on his desk. The ring caught the moonlight like a fallen star. She packed one small suitcase, only the things she had bought with her own pre-marriage savings, and walked out of the penthouse on the 62nd floor. No elevator. She took the service stairs, step by deliberate step, until she reached the lobby. Outside, the New York winter bit deep. Freezing rain stung her face, but for the first time in years, she felt light. The weight of pretending was gone. She stepped onto the sidewalk, no plan beyond distance. Then headlights cut through the sleet, 3 blacked-out SUVs, engines purring like predators. The middle vehicle stopped. A door opened. A man emerged holding a large black umbrella. He was tall, broad-shouldered, dressed in a charcoal wool coat that screamed quiet money. His features were sharp. High cheekbones, jet black hair swept back, eyes dark and unreadable. Korean, she guessed immediately. Dangerous in a way that didn't need to shout. "Leah Harmon," he said, voice low and calm, like he had practiced her name. "My name is Sun Joon. Get in. You're going to catch your death out here." She should have run. Instead, she looked at him, really looked. Recognition flickered. She had seen glimpses of him before. At charity events she attended with Mikhail, in the background of boardroom photos, always watching, never approaching. She had thought he was just another rich spectator. "You're the Geondal," she said quietly. "The Korean Mafia Boss whose name was whispered in certain circles like a curse." He inclined his head. "And you're the woman who rewrote the Harov-Mecklenburg merger clauses at 4 a.m. and saved my associates $37 million without ever knowing it. I've been waiting for this night." She hesitated only a second. Then she stepped under the umbrella. Inside the SUV, warmth enveloped her. Leather seats. Soft jazz. A thermos of jasmine tea waiting on the console. Sun Joon sat beside her, maintaining distance but never breaking eye contact. "I don't want your gratitude," he said. "I want your mind. For 2 years, I've watched you fix what others break. The Harov contracts, the algorithmic predictions. You're wasted on a man who doesn't see your value. I have resources. A private research facility in Jeju. Funding. Security. Build whatever you want. Under your name. No strings except one. My protection while you rise." Leah sipped the tea. It was perfect. Exactly the temperature and strength she preferred. He had done his homework. "And in return?" she asked. "In return," he said, "you live free. And when the time comes, you watch him fall without lifting a finger." She looked out at the rain-slicked streets blurring past. Deal. 6 months passed like a fever dream. Leah disappeared from public view. Mikhail woke to an empty penthouse, the ring and papers mocking him. At first he laughed it off. "She'll come crawling back," he told his friends. But the cracks appeared quickly. The algorithmic framework, her framework, began to glitch without her nightly patches. Investors noticed. Contracts with invisible expiration traps, ones she had built as fail-safes, began lapsing. Addendums she alone knew how to file weren't filed. The Mecklenburg deal unraveled. Harov Capital hemorrhaged money. Sophia left when the black card declined at Bergdorf's. Mikhail hired private investigators. They found nothing. Leah had vanished like smoke. Meanwhile, in a sleek compound overlooking the sea in Jeju, Leah built Meridian Applied Systems. Her company. Her rules. Sun Joon kept his word. Unlimited budget, top-tier equipment, complete autonomy. He never pressured her for more. He simply watched, quietly, the way a man guards something irreplaceable. He was obsessive, yes, but not in the suffocating way. He learned her routines. Black coffee at 6:30 a.m., no interruptions during deep focus hours, the exact shade of emerald she preferred in silk. He gifted without fanfare. Diamonds that caught firelight like captured stars, rare first edition math texts, a custom supercomputer cluster. He never asked for thanks. He simply said, "You deserve beautiful things." She began to heal. Not with anger, but with purpose. Then came the Obsidian Gala, New York's most exclusive event, invitation only for the true elite. Leah arrived on Sun Joon's arm, wearing a custom midnight gown by a sole designer. Diamonds cascading from her ears and throat like frozen rivers. Heads turned. Whispers followed. Who was she? The new power in the room. Mikhail had clawed his way into a last-minute ticket through desperate favors. He was thinner now, eyes hollow, suit slightly off-rack. He spotted her across the ballroom and froze. He crossed the floor like a drowning man. Grabbed her wrist. "Leah," he rasped. "Come home. We can fix this. You owe me, after everything." The room quieted. Eyes widened. Sun Joon stepped forward, calm as still water. "Remove your hand, Mr. Harov." Mikhail sneered. "Who the hell are you?" Sun Joon smiled thinly. "The man who owns every dollar you still pretend to have." He nodded. An aide placed a leather portfolio in his hands. Sun Joon opened it, revealing documents, debt instruments, accelerated clauses, notices of default. Every major loan Harov Capital held had been quietly acquired through shell companies. The sole distribution deal with a key partner? Bought out and cancelled. The algorithmic patents? Licensed exclusively to Meridian Applied Systems, Leah's company. "You're finished," Sun Joon said softly. "Tonight." Mikhail's knees buckled. He dropped to the floor, clutching at Leah's gown. "Please," he sobbed. "Fix the code. Remember our vows." I love you. Leah looked down at him. No angigit. Just pity. You should have kept the ring, she said. It was the only thing you had left that was worth anything. Security materialized. They dragged him away as the gala watched in stunned silence. Sun Joon turned to the crowd. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce Leah Harmon, founder of Meridian Applied Systems, architect of the most advanced predictive frameworks in finance, and the most brilliant mind in this room. Or any room. He lifted her hand and pressed a kiss to her knuckles. The applause started slowly, then swelled. Leah met his eyes. For the first time in years, she smiled real unguarded. Later, on the terrace overlooking the glittering skyline, Sun Joon stood beside her. You didn't need me to destroy him, he said quietly. No, she replied. But I needed someone who saw me before I left. He took her hand. I've seen you for years. She laced her fingers through his. Then keep looking. In that moment, the diamond he had thrown away found the setting that made her shine. Unbreakable, untouchable, and finally home.